Hi, Stephen Koukoulas here, Zagga's Economist in residence, with the regular monthly update. And wow, what a month it's been. Not quite sure where to start, but look, in no particular order, what we've got is the economy continuing to show just tentative signs of a moderate pickup in activity. Things like retail sales, building approvals are sort of just nudging a little bit higher, and that's good, but they're certainly not strong. I don't think anybody would say they're strong, but the worst is behind us, I think it's fair to say. The hard data are telling us that. What we've also got is inflation coming back under control. The monthly inflation indicators from the Bureau of Statistics show that both headline and the underlying inflation rates are back in the target. But that said, the Reserve Bank is still reluctant to follow through with an additional interest rate cut. Indeed, just recently we saw them hold rates steady in early April, no change. And when you look at why they didn't cut rates, it was really linked to their assessment, and it is their assessment, a judgment call from them, that the labour market's still very tight, that the unemployment rate at 4.1%, which is a low reading compared with our last few decades of history, is for them still presenting upside risks to wages growth, even though wages growth, the hard data that came out just a few weeks ago, confirmed that wages growth is slowing. So there's this dilemma that the Reserve Bank's confronting with its assessment of the economy versus what's happening to the hard data. The other thing, of course, we had a federal budget, and I think it's fair to say it was fairly neutral. We had the opposition leader give the budget in a reply speech, and of course, all of this in the context of the federal election, which will be held on the 3rd of May. Look, I think that, obviously it'll be pretty close as far as the polls are saying at the moment, but the policy responses from both sides of politics, from a macro perspective, will be contestable. There'll be a debate about them, but when I look at what the financial market reaction has been to the election, it's pretty benign, I think it's fair to say. And in fact, they're looking more at the economic fundamentals than at what policies might be rolled out on nuclear power generation versus petrol tax relief versus income tax cuts versus Medicare funding. So they're all important issues. Don't get me wrong, and we voters will make our minds up on all of those things. But from a big picture macroeconomic perspective that changes the game in the near term, it's more neutral than that. The other thing, of course, is international. Gosh, the Trump tariffs have been rolled out, and look, there's huge volatility associated with how they're going to impact the real economy, how they're going to be perhaps scaled back if there's some negotiation from some countries with the US administration. So it's still early days, and as we've seen, what has it been, 10 or 11 weeks since Mr. Trump was inaugurated as president. There's a lot of volatility and a lot of uncertainty in that space. Suffice to say, and I think this is more of a, I'm confident saying this, tariffs are not good for economic growth. They do put up price barriers, they do restrict free trade, and we know from history that when free trade is restricted, economic growth is weaker. So while Australia might not have a huge direct impact from the tariffs, I think it's fair to say that if the tariffs impact on China, our major trading partner, then it will have a blowback to our economy. And I think that's what we're worried about, that it won't necessarily be our economy that's impacted by the tariffs, although it will to some extent. It'll be what happens to the global economy and our major export market that has a bigger influence on us. So, gosh, there we go. That's a stunning few weeks recently. Obviously, we've got the next month coming up. Key data will be the March quarter inflation numbers. We've got a couple of more labour market releases coming through. They'll be important to see whether that blip in employment last month is sustained. But for the here and now, it's moderately good news on the economy. Growth is edging up, but it's certainly not strong, and inflation, thankfully, is back in the target range. I look forward to chatting at the next Zagga event, so thank you.